This is the story of how the state of North Dakota went to war against a rodent that weighed half a pound. The state even weaponized school children to wipe them off the map. The flickertail ground squirrel, a twitchy little creature barely 6 to 8 inches long, small enough to fit in your pocket, became the single greatest agricultural enemy the Northern Plains had ever seen. And by 1913, the state government had had enough. They passed a law that essentially allowed farmers to call in professional hitmen to wipe these animals off the face of the earth. This is the North Dakota Gopher War. To understand why an entire state mobilized against something you could punt across a football field, you need to understand the scale of the problem. A single pocket gopher can dig a tunnel system covering an entire acre of ground, spending almost its whole life underground, silently devouring crop roots, carrots, potatoes, wheat, anything it can get its teeth on. Wheat was the big one. North Dakota farmers depended on wheat, and flickertails feasted on wheat kernels like they were running an all-you-can-eat buffet beneath the soil. But it wasn't just the crops. These gophers chewed through machinery wires. Horses and cattle would step into gopher holes and break their legs. And the population numbers were genuinely staggering. In 1890, one farmer wrote a letter describing how he'd killed 4,000 gophers in a single month. 4,000. And he still had a gopher problem. So the war didn't start overnight. It built slowly, legislatively, and then explosively. The first shots were fired in December of 1889, the same year North Dakota became a state. A representative named Roney from Griggs County introduced a bill to pay county bounties on gopher tails. Bring in a tail, get a few cents. Simple enough. By 1895, the state had passed a law allowing counties to levy a special tax to buy strychnine and distribute it to farmers for, and I'm quoting the legislation here, the destruction of gophers. Strychnine. They were handing out strychnine like it was candy at a parade. Companies saw a business opportunity right away. Products with names like Kill 'em Quick, Gophercide, Ready Rodo, and my personal favorite, a brand simply called My Own, flooded the market. These were usually greenish-blue liquids that smelled strongly of vinegar, and the most popular homemade recipes mixed oats with strychnine because gophers absolutely loved oats. Over at the North Dakota Agricultural College, a professor named Dr. W.B. Bell developed his own poison formula. The college then sent out a graduate named U.S. Ebener, who traveled across the state teaching farmers how to use it. Ebener became something of a celebrity in rural North Dakota, known simply as the gopher killing expert. He gave speeches at community events, and people came from miles around to hear this man talk about killing rodents. That's how serious the problem was. By 1901, Stutsman County had levied a 4 mil tax specifically for gopher control. Renville County's commissioner purchased over $2,000 worth of gopher poison, an enormous sum at the time just to distribute to townships. And still, the gophers kept coming. Then came 1913, and this was the turning point. The state legislature passed a law that said if just 10 farmers in a township signed a petition to their county commissioners, the authorities were legally required to hire a professional to, and again I'm quoting, poison, kill, and exterminate the gophers in that township. 10 signatures. That's all it took to unleash an exterminator on the entire township's gopher population. The federal government got involved too, organizing what was literally called a poison squad, operating under the direction of the North Dakota Experiment Station, a federal poison squad for gophers. And then the community event started. In May of 1915, the businessmen and farmers of Starkweather, North Dakota, gathered at the Schweitzer hardware store and declared what they called a vigorous campaign against gophers. They designated the very next day as Gopher Day. The following year, their Gopher Day had grown into an annual festival, drawing an estimated 1,000 people. The Starkweather concert band played throughout the day and into the evening for a dance. There were competitions. A man named J.H. Weaver won first prize, $12, for bringing in 1,400 gopher tails. A woman named May Revis took second place with 1,140. On June 6, 1915, the Grand Forks Herald ran a headline that read simply, "Kill 18,000 gophers in a day." Meanwhile, up in Saskatchewan, they organized their own Gopher Day in 1917, where students went out with poison, traps, guns, and snares and exterminated 500,000 gophers in a single day. By 1920, Saskatchewan schoolchildren killed an estimated 2 million gophers on their Gopher Day. 2 million in one day. Children did this. Now, here's where the story takes a turn that honestly makes the whole thing even better. The bounty system, it turns out, was hilariously corrupt. After counties had paid out thousands of dollars in bounty money and the gopher population didn't seem to shrink at all, investigators started asking questions. A grand jury uncovered an entire gopher tail bounty ring. People were turning in the same tails repeatedly. Others had gotten their hands on official township receipt books and were forging certificates. There was even a state representative, McCullough from Walsh County, who had warned that scamps would cut the tails off captured gophers and release them, claiming the tails would grow back like a lizard's. That's not how gophers work. That's not how any of this works. But the fraud was very real. A town clerk named Robert Morrow was convicted. Conspirators named Robert, Jack, and Fred Stewart went down. 2 men named Timmons and Ryan got caught. Most were fined $500. Robert Stewart, apparently the ringleader of this gopher tail crime syndicate, got a year in the state penitentiary. Yes, a man went to prison for a gopher tail crime ring. And the propaganda was spectacular. When World War I broke out, advertisers in the Western municipal news portrayed gophers as invading German soldiers, complete with spiked helmets and scythes. Kill the gophers, they're basically the Kaiser. When the war ended and Bolshevism became the new boogeyman, the gophers were rebranded as Bolshevites, communist rodents trying to liberate wheat fields in the name of the proletariat. The flickertail became so synonymous with North Dakota that it nearly became the official state emblem. A representative named Thompson from Cass County introduced a bill to designate North Dakota the flickertail state, and the nickname stuck for decades. In 1953, a bill to make it official was defeated. Today, North Dakota is officially the Peace Garden state. But the gophers never went away. They retreated to marginal lands, went underground, and endured. As recently as 2026, a gopher infestation in Saskatchewan and Alberta cost farmers millions. The war that started in the 1890s, formalized in 1913, and peaked with poison squads and community festivals and fraud rings and wartime propaganda, it never really ended. The flickertails are still out there on the prairie, twitching their whiskers, dodging humans, and living another day. A half-pound rodent versus an entire state government, and somehow the rodents won. Thanks for watching. See you next time.